Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Hey everyone, it's Catherine Cristani with another episode of Willow Healing Matters, and today I'm joined by the lovely Pam Conboy. So she has a background in biology and was trained as a clinical laboratorian and is currently a doctoral student in naturopathic medicine. Pam is an IIN certified health coach, trained psychedelic facilitator, medical marketing, business development entrepreneur, and an ordained minister. Pam is responsible for all the strategy, operations, and management of the Setas Seminary and its sister company, manufacturing corporation, Setas Corp. So big welcome to the show, Pam.
Thank you so much for having me, Catherine. I just love talking all things Setas.
Well, I feel to ask because I know what it is, but I feel like our audience needs to know, what does Setas actually mean?
Setas, the word itself, is actually mushrooms in Spanish. So in Spanish, they say more setas than setas, but we're American here, so we do the short E. It is actually a psychedelic church. And the psychedelic aspect of that is because although entheogens, including psilocybin, magic mushrooms, are still illegal in most parts of the United States, they're still considered a Schedule 1 by the FDA, meaning they're not readily available. They still consider it no therapeutic value for these mushrooms. But we are very fond of religious freedom here in the United States, and we've had legislation that spans the country, so it's federal, that allows for the use of entheogenic plant medicines in sincere spiritual practice, and that's protected use. So I built a church, and we're really rooted in naturopathic practices, and it allows us to use psilocybin.
Yeah, I love that this was the way around it, that. And it was interesting because a few shows ago, I love the timing of things. I was interviewing someone about cannabis, like a doctor who is passionately promoting cannabis. That is also a type 1 drug, weirdly. And so it's really interesting when you actually start to pull out the therapeutic benefits of, I can never say it, psilocybin. Did I get it? Yeah.
Close
Okay,
enough.
great. Close
Still
enough.
but some people say something.
But I feel the biggest thing, right, is to make sure that it's given in a way that is therapeutic and not just looking for a high.
Absolutely. So, psilocybin is definitely used in festival environments and that kind of thing. But my interest in it was really, it stemmed from my business partner now in this business. She's a naturopathic physician. And we worked together for a while at a supplement company here in Reno, Nevada area. And she was telling me, this is about 3 years ago, telling me that, wow, I've had a bunch of my patients interested in working with psilocybin in microdose. So I've been helping them kind of understand the difference between strains and what a good dose might be for them, as well as offering them some support and recommendations on adding other functional mushrooms, so not psychedelic, functional mushrooms, things like lion's mane and cordyceps and whatnot, and other botanical medicines that could support whatever they're trying to achieve with the microdosing. So, Leah, how is that going? That's so interesting. How's that going? Like the best medicine I've ever worked with, kind of going well. People are able to let go of, decades long addiction, treatment resistant depression, traumatic episodes, general brain fog, all kinds of applications. Wow. So, okay. So, I kind of dug into the research, and there's a ton of it. I mean, a lot. Since about 2018, 2019, the FDA, our FDA, who classified this particular substance as Schedule 1, also gave it a breakthrough therapy status for treatment-resistant depression. So that really opened the floodgates of research back up. And most of the notable universities here in this country have a psychedelic lab. So the studies are not giant, but they're very convincing. So we really quite understand the mechanisms. Right now, we're still learning as we always will, but we have a pretty clear understanding of why this works for so many different indications, which I can go into if you like. And we also have really good human data for things like depression and anxiety and addiction and trauma release, so PTSD, and newer research on neurocognitive issues like Alzheimer's disease and dementia and Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis and traumatic brain injury. I mean, it's pretty compelling.
Yeah, and I feel the thing with plant medicine is it's really hard to create consistent results with people because the plant medicine works on you depending on where you need it to work. So, and if you're not ready, it won't work. I've interviewed people and they're like, yeah, was all geared up for my first, ayahuasca ceremony, and I was all like, yeah, and then the plant medicine's like, yep, you're not ready. And then did nothing happened. So I feel it's like understanding that you're going in with you have to come in with a better intention than just like, oh, it's going to solve all my problems. Instead, it's like, okay, what do I want to achieve from this relationship dance almost?
It really is a relationship. The mushrooms and you and other plant medicines, it's definitely an individual relationship. And what you're describing is more on the macro ceremonial front. So, a larger psychedelic type of experience. And for sure, you're much better off. And this is something that we do when we do ceremony or macro dosing. We help people understand the power of intention, help them prepare mind, body, spirit, get them sort of into this space where they'll get the most from the experience. And even then, it's usually probably 5, 6% of people that have been well prepared. They understand the process. They kind of go through the ceremony at the outset, and they still don't get the effect that they're expecting. So, you can see when somebody is being affected by psilocybin. It's fairly unmistakable. So we do have this small percentage of people that will say, I'm not feeling anything, and I can see that the medicine is in them. They have enough. But they're what I call the white knucklers, right? So these are usually people usually struggling with trauma. They're frightened by what they might find, which is there's nothing scary in there really. It might be a little uncomfortable, but this is going to help you get through it. Um, uh, so there is resistance. You can resist these medicines. Like I say, the mushrooms kind of knock on the door, but you have to actually open it for the whole
Mm,
experience to work.
mm,
They typically will, these people, even the white knucklers, they'll typically have good experience later. Like in a week, we do integration work, and they will say, okay, I get it because I haven't wanted to kill my husband all week, and I've been sleeping better, and I see that something has shifted. And if these folks come back later for another macro experience, they're typically more comfortable about sitting.
mm. Yeah.
It is an agreement between you and the mushrooms, for sure.
Yeah. And I feel that's an important component that you brought up is that you need to not be so resistant to it. So even working as an intuitive healer, I was talking to someone about it last night. I was like, if someone comes to me and they don't believe in a thing that I do, I'm not going to work with them because nothing is going to work, because every time I say something or do something, they're going to be in resistance to it. And if you go in with that resistance, you're going to attract resistance. You're not going to be open and allow whatever needs to happen. So I feel that's such an important thing that you brought up, that you need to be open, but you also need someone to support you through it. It's not like, you know, something you should be doing on your own, because you never know where you're going to go when you're having that relationship with the mushroom.
It's true, especially if this is something if you're a relative novice. because you're not quite sure. And, you're going to have a different journey every time. But there is something to be said about how you experience the mushrooms. That's again a personal sort of relationship thing. So, for our macro ceremonies, we really focus on the concept of free range journeying. So, we will do proper preparation. We actually have a lovely spiritual ceremony ahead of taking medicine. I have a big teepee out here on my property with a fire pit in the middle. It's really good for the mood and getting people to where they want to be to enjoy the medicine or at least experience it. Um, but how you interact with it once it's on board is also an individual experience. So you can lay in our teepee, for example, with a blanket by the fire with an eye shade on and earplugs in, just like you would do at a clinical trial. But nobody ever wants to do that. So I have a big area, I have 13 acres, a big parcel of land, and there are swinging chairs and beds and couches and chairs and places to walk and hot tub and all the things. So whatever you're called to, a lot of people want to be on the grass, right? Really connected to the earth. That makes for a much more powerful experience. Some people want to be completely isolated. I'm one of these people, right? So they'll go off and find themselves a little nook someplace. And our job is to make sure you're comfortable. You have some water, that you're warm enough, that you're not getting sunburned. And we will leave you alone because that's how you're interacting with the mushrooms. Other people really want to have a conversation the whole time, So we see it as our job to help facilitate the experience that each individual wants to have.
Yeah. And I feel that's so important, right? Because, like you said, every person is, well, every soul's individualistic. Everyone has their own preferences, and having that option. I know personally, I like to be grounded as much as I
Yep.
can. So I'd be
Mhm.
like, quite happy with my feet on the ground. Not that I've done psilocybin, but at the same time, it's just, I know me. I know I want to be in nature and connected to trees and connected to the grass, and make sure that I'm anchored in that present moment. So with your background as a laboratorian, wow, why am I struggling with that word today? Did you find that just kicked on as soon as you started looking into all the studies and the research behind psilocybin?
Well, so my background is biology. I've worked in medicine my whole life, so reading a clinical trial is not a problem. I think the laboratory stuff is more interesting or more valuable. Working at sorry, I have a fly. It's the middle of the winter and there's a fly buzzing around my head. The flies hate me.
Well, it's funny because flies are symbolic of something in your life that's bothering you that you're not paying attention to.
Well, I'm paying a lot of attention to the flies.
Yeah.
They really do hunt me down, but I tend to eradicate them pretty quickly. So, what was I? Oh, the laboratory and stuff. So,
Yes.
one of the big things is that working in nutritional supplements, also, see my friend the
Yes.
fly, um, and having the laboratory background, it was really important that everything is organic, but everything is third party tested. So we were able to find a laboratory that tests not only for psilocybin, which is the prodrug, right? So it's not actually the psychedelic. Your body actually converts psilocybin into psilocin. So we measure both. We make sure there are no heavy metals, there are no molds, nothing that we don't want, and everything that we do want. So we work with other botanicals and functional mushrooms with our um, microdosing pairings. But everything is very clean. We really do lot to lot consistency. All of that stuff is super important. And I just, I happen to have the background. And so does my partner. She is very familiar with the manufacturing and formulation aspects of these types of products. So, we're really well suited to get the job done at a very, very high quality
Yeah.
product.
Definitely. And then is this like interactions and things is what pulled you then into looking further into naturopathy and how that can be applied on top of this?
So that's what Leah was doing, right? She was actually pairing things depending on what people wanted to achieve with the microdose. So if they were wanting to microdose because they have mood issues that they haven't been able to address effectively. So you'd want to, she was pairing various botanicals and functional mushrooms that have a more calming, adaptogenic kind of flow to them. So they're all evidence based, they've all been studied for sort of mood and mind. We have maybe it's easier to show you. So we have the way we set it up was kind of the way Leah
Yeah.
was doing the recommendations. So this guy is the psilocybin. That's a 200 milligram dose of psilocybin. That's really right in the midpoint of microdosing. Microdosing can range from 50 to 500 milligrams. And this is your daily. So this one you take 3 times a week. This guy you take every single day, and that's a mixture of botanicals and functional mushrooms to help achieve your goals. So in this case, it's focus. So the daily here is more nootropic. So evidence-based for clarity, mood, mind, not mood, mind and learning and memory and that kind of thing. We have a neurologist that sends us probably 6 or 7 patients a month that are early onset Alzheimer's and dementia type patients, and now more Parkinson's. And the focus does really well for them. So then we have a pairing we call Calm. That's much more calming adaptogens that you take every day. And the third pairing is introspection. So the daily there is more heart opening. It has motherwort in it, really kind of opens up
Mm,
the systems for more trauma processing, wound healing, that kind of thing. But the psilocybin component is consistent.
yeah. Yeah, I love that you have that pairing and that there's like a different theme, which depending on what experience or what you want to shift in your life. And I know you said it doesn't implicate mood, but when you shift and you're actually achieving things in your goal, then you can have the emotional support without doing anything else too, right? It just kind of flows through. Yeah.
For sure, and psilocybin definitely impacts mood. So the people that come from this neurologist, they're looking for some physiological shift, right? They're really looking to the BDNF that comes from psilocybin. So you're actually growing new brain cells and new connections in your brain, and that's what they really want to hold on to, that particular mechanism. Also, the reduction in neuroinflammation that psilocybin offers. But psilocybin also balances neurotransmitters, and it's serotonergic primarily, right? So it's not just things like Prozac and other SSRIs, they're reuptake inhibitors. So they kind of make a dam between neurons to leave serotonin in that neuronal gap. But that's not normal. I mean, that's not how our body works. Psilocybin is an agonist, so it just actually has your body making more serotonin. Also works on dopamine, so the reward transmitter, so you can feel joy and
Yes.
accomplishments again, and glutamate as well. So that's a little bit more excitatory, and it also feeds BDNF production, right? So new neurons. So all of these things are happening with all 3 pairings, and the focus just is more cognitive for the daily. And but the first thing those people, even the ones that are just looking for the cognitive support, the first thing they feel is a shift in mood. For sure, always, all the time. Because you're stressed out, right? Your brain isn't working like it used to, and you're worried about it and depressed and annoyed and unhappy. And the rebalancing of the neurotransmitters that comes from the serotonin primarily really makes a huge difference, and that's usually the most notable the most quickly.
Yeah. It's just such an important thing. And I love how you explain that. So if anyone's not understanding about all the tech in there, I got it. But, so basically conventional pharmaceutical medicine creates a false kind of uptake of the serotonin. This is my interpretation. And it kind of dams it and keeps it in there, but the body doesn't produce it more. Whereas psilocybin acts for the body to remind it how to keep producing the serotonin so it can stay in that uplifting. And serotonin's the drug that makes us feel happy and it makes us feel elevated, and it doesn't, and then like you said, then the dopamine can kick in where we get those feedbacks and the joy. I interpreted that correctly, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
So rather than blocking up reuptake by the little sponges that take up the juice in the gap, it's psilocybin is actually getting your body to do more of what it is wired already to do.
It's a remembering, really, isn't it? Yeah. Because sometimes it's amazing. Our body is so clever. Like sometimes you just need to clear the way for it to go back to its natural state, which is 100% functioning. Our body's always trying to heal and restore itself to get back to there, but sometimes we just need to clear things that get in the way.
Yes. Yes.
You're like, yeah, definitely. So if people were going to come and attend a retreat or a session at Setas Seminary, what would that look like, Pam? I know you described a bit like you can go anywhere, but what is the kind of the flow of the events that you run?
So we do small groups once a month, and we do individual sessions as scheduled. So a small group would be up to 6 people that are taking journey. And we have 2 to 3 trained facilitators that would be supporting that journey. So the beginning is usually just a conversation, what it is a person is looking for, why they think psilocybin might be a good route, and then describing kind of our foundations, why we're a church, because that's very confusing sometimes to people, and it can be off-putting if you've had, an interesting
Triggering. Yeah.
experience with religion in your past. But we're very much not deity focused. We're really more naturopathic, mind, body, spirit integration. And if you're utilizing psilocybin and if you don't feel like there's something bigger than yourself, then I might suggest you're not doing it right because it definitely opens up your mind and spirit to greater things. So we'll initially have a conversation. The process goes that you would, if everything is good, you want to participate in ceremony. We do a full medical intake. There are very few contraindications for psilocybin. It's extremely safe, but there are a few. So we want to make sure that there are going to be no physical issues and no challenges with polypharma. If you have a lot of psychiatric meds on board, it's always optimal to taper a bit if you can, because you're going to have some blunting effect. If you're using lithium, that's an absolute no-no for mushrooms. They do not get along at all. So there are a few things that we need to watch out for. Then you would get about 2 weeks before journey, you'd get a lovely integration journal that discusses intention and that kind of thing. About 3 days ahead of journey, we'll have a Zoom meeting or a meeting like we're having right now, and just kind of go through the flow of the day, answer any questions that might come up, and kind of ease people's trepidation, because a lot of times we have people that it's their first time. We provide transportation from the city proper. So we live in the Reno Sparks area of Nevada. It's up by Northern California. And my home is church. So my acreage is about 40 minutes outside of that. So we provide transport from the city up to here and then back home again. The day starts out with a little lay of the land, some tea. We have a little gentle stretching exercise, some meditation work, just very light and introductory. A group discussion about intentions, and we share each other's intentions, and each person gets the full impact of everyone's energy to wish them best on their journey. They take the medicine in a tea. The dosage for small group is typically 3 to 4 grams. That's a pretty healthy dosage. For most people, that's absolutely sufficient, but we do fine tune a bit depending on your experience, your comfort level, what medications you might be taking, all of those things. But it's generally between 3 and 4 grams. Um, once people go into their journey, again, we really support free range journeying. So we're there to keep you safe, comfortable, and supported as you wish to be supported. That lasts 3 to 4 hours or so. And then we come back with a big family meal. And the energy has shifted completely. That's my favorite time. So I
Yeah.
love to I will bring out we'll have a big meal, we'll talk a little bit about the experience, about the power and necessity for effective integration, because our brains, even if you have this most beautiful experience and you feel completely enlightened and I see a new path ahead of me now, if you don't practice that and sort of replace bad habits with better ones, your brain is going to revert back to what it knows what to do. It's a real efficient beast. It'll fall back into bad habits in a hot second if you don't kind of keep on the journey.
100%.
So, yep. And then we'll pack up a bag, send people home with some food so they don't have to worry about eating, and some little gifts and tchotchkes, and bring them back home at the end of the day between 5 and 6 p.m. They'll get back to their point of origin. Then we have an integration session specific to that group a week later. And
Mm.
then we have ongoing integration, and we have ongoing educational events, 3 or 4 a month typically.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you actually have the support afterwards too, because even when, people go to retreats, the biggest thing they'll say is that when I get back to the real world is when all the pressure kind of starts to go back to, like you said, the brain wants to go back to the easier path rather than, oh, hang on, there's this new thing. And a lot of people don't realize it takes over 22 days to create a new habit, and then another 22 days to lock it in, and then 22 days before it becomes automatic. So that's like nearly 3 months before you can create this new version of you that you want to create. So you need persistence and you need that courage. And I feel too that family meal would be so important, because so often we just need to anchor those experiences back in our body, and talking about them and sharing them is such a powerful way to do that. I know some people like to keep it private, but if you can share it in some way, even if you just journal it down, it just helps integrate it. Otherwise, your brain just goes, oh, it was just a dream and it wasn't real. You have to really pull it back into your body to make it anchor in.
Absolutely, and that's what we really focus on, because the journey, although as beautiful as it is, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's that those daily practices that are gonna make a long-term durable change in your life. So what we try to do, and we start it the day of ceremony, but we offer this to anyone and everyone that's interested. We have educational programs, and they're really focused on integration, mind, body, spirit type integration. So say, this month we're talking about meditation. What would do the didactic portion would be like, why do I care about meditation? And we'll give you the information about how this works, how it benefits your mind, your body, your everything. Okay, now I'm sold, Pam. Okay, but I can't go to an ashram for a month. How do I even do this? I can't sit by myself. I can't meditate. Of course you can, right? So here are some small steps that you can get yourself into a very peaceful, mindful place, whether it is a body scan at night, whether it's drinking your coffee or tea in the morning with the morning light in your eyes and just being, just being mindful, whether it is, walking mindfully from your car to your office. There are 1,000 ways you can integrate this into your life. And maybe meditation is something you're resistant to. Okay, so maybe journaling is your thing, or sound bath, or infrared sauna, or cold plunge, or grounding, or breath work. I mean, our job is to kind of introduce all the flavors, and then you build your toolbox, because if you don't resonate with the tool or the integration practice, you won't do it. So this is kind of how we structure the ongoing support. Don't forget. Don't forget that feeling that you had when you left my house. But it's still there.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And as we start to finish our time together, Pam, I ask the guests that come on the show, if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
You know what I think? I tend to believe the real deep root of for all of our collective problem is that we don't know ourselves very well. And I really believe if more people could take the time, and psychedelics can certainly help with that path, but it's not the only path to get there, to really understand yourself. You know, what is it that motivates me? What is it that I'm good at? What do I not like? Who am I? Because if I understand me, at least, I can communicate better to others about how I operate. I can identify and use the tools that are going to work best for me and things that will stick, and I'll be able to improve slowly over time. I think that a lot of times people are like, I'll try anything. I'll try anything because I'm stuck. But you first have to kind of understand, what neighborhood do you want to be in? Because what might work for you, Catherine, might absolutely not work for me or Leah or somebody else. I mean, it's a really personal thing, just like the relationship with the mushrooms. So really having a good understanding of oneself can open up a lot of doors to healing, really meaningful long-term healing, rather than just, throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Exactly. Sometimes I said to someone yesterday, stop doing and start being, because you keep doing all these different things, but you're not actually integrating them so that you can be, in the energy. And once you go through that experience, why not? Like, and I always just think, someone said to me the other week, question she always asks herself is like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, oh no, you show up as yourself because you've gone through this amazing journey. What's the worst that can happen? Oh no, people don't like you anymore. But these new people came into my life who are much better and supportive, and I'm actually respecting myself enough to create new habits and look after my body, and I'm more aware now. How's that a bad thing? So
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I
Uh,
I agree.
yeah.
Completely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. And if people want to find out more about Setas Seminary or come and have an experience with you guys, where's the best place that they can find you?
The homepage or our website, so it's Setas, Setas, setasseminary.org. The front end of the website is not very direct by design, because we are still working with a Schedule 1 drug, and I'm not interested in people thinking that I'm dealing, illegal substances.
Yes.
So anyone is welcome to become a member. It is absolutely free. It just keeps us all protected. So, anyone that wants to use psilocybin with us, I can say that they are using it in sincere spiritual practice. That's a legislation that keeps me good. No cost to it. It'll allow you to get into the back end of the website, where there's all kinds of great information, podcasts like this, recommended reading, books, all kinds of videos and information about our pairing. So all the good stuff lies behind the member portal. So that's where I would start if you're interested at all.
Beautiful. And I'll make sure to put those details in the show notes for you as well. Well, a big thank you for being on the show, Pam. And I love that you've created this space for people to come and um, build their relationship with mushrooms, but also with themselves,
With
because
themselves.
that's the most important thing.
I agree. Thank you so much for having me, Catherine. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.